Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. So this isn't exactly the first video I wanted to post on this channel, but I think, as a Nets fan, I just gotta talk about Kyrie Irving. So as most NBA fans know, Kyrie Irving does not want to get vaccinated. And look, that's fine. Even though I disagree with it, I can at least respect his personal choice. Of course, with the vaccine mandates in New York though, the Nets have recently put their foot down and stated that Kyrie won't be allowed to be a part-time player, and I do believe that is 100% the right choice. It just doesn't make sense to have a player who's going to be in and out of games, and it's unfair to other players who are there putting in the work and who are going to be there for the team in every single game. But then cut to last night, Kyrie decides to go on IG Live and start sharing his side of the whole debacle. I'm not going to recap everything he says, as you can find the video if you're really interested, but I do think some of the stuff he says leaves us at a bit of a weird crossroads. Among his points, I think a big thing is that he doesn't actually seem to be anti-vax, but does seem to be anti-mandate. Obviously, I don't know everything that he's thinking, but from listening to him, it seems like his view is that people should be free to make the decision they deem best for themselves, whether that means getting vaccinated or staying unvaccinated. He also repeatedly states that he doesn't believe people should get hate or toxicity, or even to have their livelihoods taken away from them just because of that decision. For himself, I think that includes the media getting all over him before he even gets a chance to speak for himself, and obviously, the whole Nets situation plays into this a bit as well. He makes it pretty clear that he doesn't like how people are becoming so divided and treating each other so poorly because of everything going on, and to his point, I think there are people on both sides who are acting totally inappropriately, regardless of what you believe. While he never explicitly stated this, I think there's also maybe a hint of belief that the mandate is a form of compliance and maybe control, which could set an ugly precedent in the future where, who knows what they're going to try to make people do in the future. Although I disagree with him in this particular case regarding the vaccine, as I really do think it's in literally every person's best interest to get vaccinated so that we can move on past COVID, I can at least see where he's coming from. And look, call me a defender all you want, and obviously Kyrie is not very easy to deal with. I think that's pretty clear at this point. But I do think he's still deeply misunderstood, and the nephews on our NBA just have a hate boner for him. Enough about the politics though. I think where things get particularly interesting is what he states closer to the end. He states that he knows the consequences of his actions and how there are bigger issues than the game, and to me, that does seem to signal that he won't be getting vaccinated anytime soon. As a Nets fan, I can only hope that maybe he can get comfortable enough with the vaccine to eventually get it, but that statement definitely dampened my optimism. He also did say he did not intend on retiring and that he still loves the game and wants to play, so at least there's that, and maybe at this point it's just a matter of trying to ride out the mandate or something, but who knows if and when that would ever happen. So what does this mean for the Nets? Well, obviously, it is a bit awkward. Say he eventually does get vaccinated or the mandate is lifted, how will his teammates feel? How will he feel about the organization? I think he at least recognizes the reality that it is a New York thing, so hopefully he doesn't hold it against the Nets for making the decision that they made. Then, of course, there is one of the big things people are wondering, which is, should we trade Kyrie Irving? And my answer to that is probably not, but it really depends on what KD and Harden think, as well as what we can get in return. In my view, we're probably one of the deepest teams in the NBA right now and still one of the biggest contenders. Honestly, unless we can get a star back for Kyrie, I just don't think it's a good decision to trade him. Similar to the whole Ben Simmons situation, I just can't imagine getting fair value, and history shows trading a star for picks and smaller pieces just never really works out. So, unless we get an all-star player back or a really good center, trading him to me just doesn't make any sense right now. He's still a Jersey guy and a Nets fan growing up, and he's still friends with KD and Harden, so I'd like to think that despite the rift, we could still potentially work things out. Still, it's kind of interesting to think about. What trade could there even possibly be? Honestly, I can't think of any realistic ones. We're definitely not trading him for Ben Simmons. There's no way the Nets would help out one of their biggest competitors, all for a guy who would take the ball out of Harden's hands and is afraid to shoot. Could he be traded for a disgruntled star? If we could get Dame for him, that'd be pretty insane, but I highly doubt that ever happens. And I think I'll just throw out some absolutely ridiculous trade ideas, but again, I just don't see any trade that could really happen here. Trade Kyrie for PG and let the Clippers tank this year so that you have Kyrie and Kawhi next year. Kyrie for Miles Turner and letting my boy Karis LeVert come back home. Kyrie for Westbrook, make the OKC Nets. Kyrie for Jamal Murray and or Michael Porter Jr. I'm not sure how the contracts would work, but that one's at least kind of intriguing. And I do think Kyrie and Jokic would be pretty crazy. Kyrie for Jaylen Brown, send him back to Boston where people love him. I don't know, none of these seem realistic at all. I think at this point the only teams that would really try to make a move for Kyrie would be a team desperate for a star. So ultimately, I hate the situation, but I think the Nets' best choice right now is to just wait it out. Hopefully once the fines come in, Kyrie gets the vaccination, or the situation gets better. But if not, then maybe start entertaining trade ideas. Again, I think a lot of this will probably depend on how Harden and KD are feeling, because the Nets' goal this season, other than winning a chip, should be trying to secure Harden long term. But who knows, maybe in a couple months or even by next season things will get back to normal and Kyrie will be able to play. We'll just have to see. All I know is it's going to be an interesting season. Let me know what you think.